Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Monday Muse. I'm Jay. I decided to do another video this week because it's fun for me and it makes me get up and do my makeup. So any excuse to be a productive human, which is not easy on a Monday. I had a really great weekend. As you can see, maybe if you watched the last video, I got my hair cut. And then I'm doing something really fun, very New Orleans. As you may remember, if you've read the Messy Muse for a while, I've had this initiative, I guess you'd call it, of dating New Orleans as a way to build community here and put down some roots and make this my home for a while. And one of the things I did it was my friend's idea from college. Her name is Beth, and she is from New Orleans, although she lives in Austin now, to join a local dance crew. If you're not from here, if you've never been to Mardi Gras, you normally think of the big crews that are on the floats, but on the street, there's usually groups that march and dance as well. And so I've joined one of those groups, and we had our first practice on Saturday. I should warn you, I am not a dancer. Like, I was talking to my friend Vicki Pedersen, who was a Vegas showgirl for many years, and she's like, "Oh, it'll be fine. You just do the 8 count." And I'm like, I've never done an 8 count for anything. So you can see how much of a beginner I am. But everybody was really friendly and nice. We met at a park and learned the first dance, which is set to Whitney Houston's Higher Love. So really upbeat, fun, and luckily very easy dance. I did figure out the 8 count. But we practiced for about an hour, learned all the moves to the song, and then we went and had drinks. So it was a lovely day, very New Orleans day. We meet every week between now and Mardi Gras. There are 3 practices a week, so everybody can get to a practice. You don't have to go to all of them. And you learn a different song and dance each week. And then closer to Mardi Gras, we'll start having required marching practice. To tell you a little bit more, our costumes are purple wigs and purple, like, flashy, very short dresses. And I am so excited. It's going to be the most fun ever. I don't know if you remember, if you followed me for a while, I actually went to my first Mardi Gras this year. So to go from first Mardi Gras to actually being in a parade in a year I'm pretty impressed with myself. And I'm excited to put myself out there and make new friends. These crews, in addition to being part of Mardi Gras, they do philanthropy. We're doing a walk for suicide prevention next month and raising money for that. And it's a social group. Apparently there's a Jell-O shot party at some point. And then we do a big brunch at Antoine's, which, if you know anything about New Orleans, Antoine's is a very big deal. And we show up in our purple wigs and we drink and have fun. So I'm very excited. It was a great way to spend my Saturday. But then after the place that we met for happy hour after the practice is right across the street from my favorite indie local bookstore, which is Blue Cypress Books. It's a super cute indie that is very genre friendly. They have a ton of book clubs and events. A really fun community that they've built. Their book selection's interesting. It's a mix of used and new. So there's always interesting books to find, whether it's a new release or something that's been out for a long time. And of course, because I'm me, I bought books and I thought I'd share them with you. I mentioned recently that I finished the rough draft of the book I'm working on, and I'm working on revisions. Actually, right now I'm working on my revision plan. And the thing is, my type of fantasy is heavily based on history. So I basically take real historical events and I make them weird and I reimagine them so that I can tell sort of a new kind of story that has a basis in like concrete fact. It's sort of how I've approached all of my fantasy, partially because I'm a history nerd. I just really love to learn about history. And so I got 2 historical fiction novels that I thought would inspire my rewrites. I try not to read the genre I'm writing when I'm writing a book because I don't want to subconsciously sort of steal ideas from other authors. But reading others' related genres is usually a great way for me to get in the voice and get new ideas and things. So the first book I got is The Summer Queen by Elizabeth Chadwick, which is historical fiction based on the life of Eleanor of Aquitaine. This is the first book in the series. It starts when Eleanor is 13. And it says, Eleanor of Aquitaine is forced to leave everything she knows behind, marry a man she doesn't love, and take the throne to reign as the Queen of France. So as you can imagine, lots of political intrigue in this one, which I think will be sort of inspirational for the book I'm working on, because it also involves a lot of court intrigue and politics. But I really, really love historical fiction like this. And I'm excited to dig into this one because I actually don't know that much about Eleanor of Aquitaine. A lot of my historical knowledge about queens has to do more with Tudor history. So I'm excited to jump into this one. The other book is also historical fiction called Slammerkin by Emma Donoghue. And this one's a little different. This is a story about a woman who is a seamstress who is forced to become a sex worker to survive. It actually does dovetail a lot with the book that I'm working on because the main character is a seamstress, and then one of the major side characters is a sex worker. She's a courtesan. So I thought this might be a good one. It's also set in, I think, 1748, which is the era shortly before the one that my series is based on. Mine is sort of Napoleonic Regency fantasy. So I thought this might be a good dovetail kind of story to read to inspire my rewrites. Also, I just love stories about sex workers. It's a thing. We all have our things that we're drawn back to again and again. I am fascinated by it. I years ago wrote a TV pilot with my friend Zibby about sex work in World War II. So it's been an interest because I think, I don't want to geek out on this, but I think that the lives of sex workers can reveal a lot about the cultures that they're in. And so it's been fascinating to historically learn about different kinds of sex work throughout history. It's just a thing that I am interested in. So I'm excited to read both of those, but right now I'm reading Hecate by Nikita Gill. I may have mentioned that before. It's a fictionalized account of the life of the goddess Hecate, who, if you're at all witchy, you will know her. She is sort of the goddess of witches, goddess of the crossroads. She's associated with keys and liminal spaces and black dogs. And I was really excited to see that somebody had written a fictional account of her life. But I'm also a fan of Nikita Gill's poetry. And the story is written sort of in verse. It's not rhyming, but each chapter is like a set of verse. And it's a very easy read. It's not like thickly written. But it starts with Hecate as a young girl and her rise up to become this very, very powerful goddess. So I'm enjoying that one a lot. What else? I don't know. I'm hosting a party this weekend. The Crew of Boo, which is the big Mardi Gras Halloween parade, is happening on Saturday, and one of my friends is in the parade. So a bunch of our other friends are getting together at my place for a pre-party, and then we're going to go watch the parade, which should be really fun. And I'm excited to get into the Halloween spirit. I haven't really been there yet. I did a little decorating in my house, but I actually will probably dress up and have a few adult beverages and enjoy living in one of the best Halloween cities in the world. And yeah, so that's what's going on. Other than that, I'm just doing a lot of work. The Seton Hill semester is well underway. I've got one manuscript I'm reading for a student who's supposed to graduate. So I have to read her entire thesis novel. I am also teaching a class on sort of all the types of writing that writers have to do other than writing fiction when they're a professional. So query letters, marketing plans, things like that. So my students have just turned in an academic paper that they had to write about their genre. So I'm grading those, although Canvas is down today because everything is down today. So I may just work on my book today. So that's a pretty good Monday. But let's get to our tarot reading of the week. This week, I thought I'd go a little bit old school with the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot. It's called Radiant because because the imagery is a little brighter than the typical Rider-Waite deck. Rider-Waite deck, of course, being sort of the gold standard of tarot. It's what most people learn on. But the artwork of this one is brighter. If you're at all familiar with the imagery, it's just crisper and brighter. So I really enjoy it. But I always love doing readings on these classic decks because it's got, the symbolism that I learned about. Sometimes when you're reading more modern decks where the artists have taken some liberties with the symbolism, it can alter the meaning of the cards. It doesn't mean that that's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. It can reveal new layers of meaning in the cards, but sometimes it's fun to just go old school and see what comes up. So let's see what we need to know today for our creativity and what message our muse wants us to know as we start out our week. Oh, there we go. Oh boy. Okay, so we got the Five of Swords. You can probably tell from my reaction, this is not like a super positive card. It's not a bad card. There are no bad messages in tarot. Death is not a bad message. The Tower is not a bad message. They're all sort of tools for growth. And the message of the Five of Swords, if you can see, like this guy in front, he's got all the swords. And he's blonde. And we all know in fiction, the blondies are the villains, right? And the other people look pretty downtrodden and sad. And so this card is a warning not to pursue victory at any cost. That you may be successful, but you have to be careful not to use other people or let your ego get in the way or make you forget that other people have helped you get there. It's also not like hurting other people so that you win. Because he's kind of an ass, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I know the meaning of this card. Like, he's kind of gloaty. He's kind of like, nah, I got all the swords. So he's kind of a dick. And I guess the message from this card is don't be a dick. Which is funny because, if you've come up around writing at all, there's this maxim. It's like, just don't be an asshole, right? Like, if you want to be successful as a writer, don't be an asshole. Be professional and polite to your colleagues. Be professional and polite to your editor and your agent and readers. And, we all know examples, especially if you hang around pros, of people who are not nice, who have been successful anyway. I can think of several that I have known. But the problem with those people is they may have the money and they may be sort of famous, but at what cost? Those people tend to be pretty miserable and lonely. Maybe they don't care. Maybe for some reason, maybe for some people, success at any cost is worth it. Personally, I don't think that. I think that quality of life is important. And for me, quality of life includes having positive relationships with my colleagues. It means I want to be thought of as a generous and kind person. That doesn't mean I'm a pushover. I have boundaries, and I will call people out, and I will stand up for myself if I feel like I'm being disrespected. But my default when I walk into most rooms is one of generosity and openness. And so, in the 20 years that I've been a writer, my hope is that my reputation's pretty good. I'm sure there are people. I I guarantee there are people who have had interactions with me where they think I'm the asshole. It happens, but I try not to be. And so the lesson of this card is success at all costs is not worth it. And you've got to get out of this thinking of it doesn't matter because this is swords, so it's a thinking card. Get out of the mindset of success at all costs, because there's more to life than hitting a list, um, getting on a talk show, having your book made into a movie. You actually have to go out and live your life too. And so you want to do it as like an actual nice functioning human. So, what's our prompt for this? I guess a great exercise you could do would be to journal about what you're not willing to do for success, because we all have those things. Um, some people, for example, they would not leave their families for long periods of time to go promote their books because their family is a bigger priority. They have younger children, things like that. Um, or they wouldn't. Um, oh, I won't use AI to write my books because there are a lot of people who would because they think that it will help them sell a lot of books and it's easier and they can produce more books. These are a couple of examples of boundaries that you can put around success for you. It is not within my integrity to do these things. Ergo, I won't do them in order to be successful. And I won't screw other people over. Because honestly, if you're using AI to write your books, you are screwing over other authors. I have a hard line about that. We just had this Anthropic settlement um, where AI has been educated using the books of authors without their permission. And now there's a huge, huge settlement coming to a lot of authors. Anyway, your prompt is journal a little bit. What am I not willing to do? What is not in my integrity in order to be successful in my creative pursuits? Interesting. There's also great exercises online where you can do. Some of my like one of my therapists had me do this. It's like a values inventory where you get a list, a page with tons of values listed. And then you go through and circle the ones that are most important to you, and then you rank them. And that sort of is supposed to give you some guidance on, where you're prioritizing things in your life. I'm sure they're available online. That might be a fun exercise to do today, too, if you are looking for things to do. That's all for me. We've done tarot. I told you about my weekend. I told you about my week. If you are enjoying the video posts, please let me know. I want to be sure that you're getting the experience that you want at the Messy Muse. Also, if you didn't see it, I did a post on, I think it was Thursday, about working with me. I do creativity coaching. I do book coaching. I'm a very experienced writing mentor. So I can work with people on developing their projects. I can do developmental editing on a manuscript that you're finished with before you start submitting it. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love writing, but teaching is also a passion of mine. So if that interests you, please reach out and we can figure out what you need. And I would love to help you. And if you have any friends who are in that position, please tell them. I think that's it for now. I hope you have a great week. I hope that whatever creative pursuits that you are getting into this week, you feel inspired and encouraged. And I will see you next week. Bye.